Hello everyone, thanks for joining us today and welcome to this educational presentation of Attention Stock Traders. This is the strategy you have been searching for. And there's a reason why we call the attention of stock traders only is because this particular method was strictly designed for trading stocks only. In fact, this is our only method we have at Specialist Trading and Proprietary Strategies that focuses on catching those high probability setups with stocks. The only problem is this is one of our most overlooked strategies. Usually we're looking and focusing on methods and techniques and strategies that are able to transfer over onto all markets, different time frames. You want to trade Bitcoin, you want to trade currency pairs. Most of our, I would say 90% of all of our methods can easily transfer over onto any market or time frame. But this particular strategy, which I'm going to be talking about today, only focuses on stocks. So if you're a stock trader, this is going to be a great presentation for you today. For example, I'd like you to take a look at this particular chart right here. This is AMD, all right? Now, this is in the middle of August, just last month. Someone looking at this would say, well, Steve, the way I've been trained, there's actually no trend here. In fact, the chat room I go to says that this is major resistance. This is where all the institutions are selling. This is the way I've been taught. For example, I took this class that cost me thousands of dollars that says that I should be selling up here because this is major resistance. Well, this particular strategy actually generated a buy signal right here. This was on August 17th, and as we can see, you would have quickly been able, or potentially been able, to capture up to 10 points within the next 2 or 3 weeks. And this is all being done one click away by using our new platform. This is the PTS Primo charting platform designed to teach traders how to trade. It's so simple. I specifically designed this with Proprietary strategies so that we could take all the work out of it for you and we could leave the teaching to our courses and to our seminars. But ultimately, when you applied this to our platform, it was just one click away. And I'll show you just how simple that is today on our platform. So this promises to be a great presentation today. Thanks again for joining us. My name is Steven Primo. I am the president and founder of Specialist Trading. 9 years ago, I teamed up with Proprietary Strategies with one goal in mind, and that's simply to educate traders around the world. And we're lucky to have done that. We have members now in over 115 countries around the world, and in virtually every state of the United States, we're educating people, hopefully taking their trading to the next level. Now, I've been trading myself for over 40 years, 41 years to be exact. I started my career on the floor of the stock exchange, the Pacific Stock Exchange. I was on the floor for 16 years. 9 of those years, I was a specialist. That's where we get the name Specialist Trading. Everything I've learned, everything I use today in my trading, and everything I teach my students around the world, I gained from trading on the floor and for what my mentors taught me. I traded through the crash of '87 and the bull market that followed, so I know what it's like to trade in a straight up market as well as a straight down market. And I know what works in those markets, okay? I have traded just about every system, every strategy you can think of. So the good news is that I've taken all the hard work and experience out of it for you. I can shorten your learning curve by telling you exactly what works and what doesn't. So this is what we do at Specialist Trading. We educate our traders around the world so that you can be in charge of your own decisions. So I'm going to show you a strategy today that is probably one of our most overlooked strategies, but before we begin, as always, we're required by law to show you this, so please take a moment to view our disclaimer. I'm going to show you a lot of performance results using this particular method on a lot of stocks, but please remember that we can in no way guarantee that any of the results I'm about to share with you will be repeated in the future, and as always, all examples are strictly for educational purposes only. As you're taking a brief moment to view our required disclaimer, I would also like to take this time to invite you, all of you, to follow us on Twitter. We have a lot of followers, but I'm sure many of you still have not followed us. There's a lot of great free information on a daily basis. Anywhere from signals our strategies have generated. In fact, the strategy number 8 signal was posted just a day or two ago, to little bits of financial wisdom along the way. So copy down our handle right there at SPCLSTTRADG. And feel free to follow us on Twitter. Now, as I stated in the opening statement, we are a little bit different from other companies in that our only goal is to educate you. That's our only purpose. We're not here to sell you some $10,000 course or system and say you'll never have to do anything again. It just spits out buy and sell orders, and all you have to do is just blindly take them. That's the way a lot of other companies conduct their business. We don't believe in that. What we first do is educate you in our courses, and then we work with you so that you can ultimately make your own decisions. This is the way I was taught, and this is what has sustained me going on over 4 decades now. And hopefully it will be able to do the same for you. So my goal, as you see, is not to trade for you. A good mentor does not trade for you, but he teaches you how to trade. And that's what my goal is. This is the same edge that has sustained me, as I stated. All right, so let's begin, but just one last announcement before we begin. I know a lot of you go to webinars and you love to ask questions on every slide. That's fine. It's okay. We do that in our colleges. But we have a good crowd here today, and I believe over 500 people have signed up. If we happen to stop for every question, we'll be here a good 3 or 4 hours, and I don't want to take that much of your time. So if we can keep it to a minimum, say about half an hour, 45 minutes, let's reserve the last 15 minutes for questions, okay? So if you happen to have a question, please wait till the very end. Oftentimes, if you wait to the next slide, your question is answered, okay? And the only question I will answer is the most common, and that is this being recorded? Yes, it is. So if you have to leave early, or if you're having difficulty hearing or seeing the screen, many times it's your internet connection. If you log off and then log back on, the problem is solved. But if you're still having difficulties, don't worry. We will supply everyone that is attended today with a link to this recording, okay? So once again, good crowd here today, but please wait till the end to ask any questions. Okay, so let's begin. We're going to be talking about strategy number 8. Now, I know you don't hear me speak about this. In fact, I think the last time I talked about this was about a year ago. So this is our most overlooked strategy only because it just deals with stocks. And I know we have a lot of traders that only trade E-mini or only trade Bitcoin or only trade currency pairs. But this is strictly for traders who like to trade stocks. Now, we do have students around the world who say, well, Steve, I trade this on the futures. It works pretty well. But it's a really, defined market where you have to have the perfect time frame, the perfect rules for how you want to apply it. And so we don't want our methods to be like that. We want nothing to change in order for you to transfer them onto any market. So we just tell students, especially in the beginning, to focus on stocks with strategy number 8. So let me go over some of the highlights of this particular method. It's a stock-only strategy, as I just stated, and it only uses 2 indicators, all right? So this is a indicator-defined type strategy. Many of our other strategies are pattern recognition strategies, but because we're using 2 indicators, we're basically making our decisions based off of these indicators and their relationship to one another. Now, normally, I wouldn't give out the rules, and I'm not going to give out the full rules. It wouldn't be fair to the people who are already members of our course. But I'm going to tell you what one of the indicators is, okay? I'm going to give that information up today. It's the 50-period moving average, all right? This is one of the main indicators that we use, and this will define if we're going long or going short, but it also tells us if we have a valid setup depending on what the other indicator's relationship is to the 50-period moving average. So it's not going to be a difficult. There's a little bit of math involved in this particular strategy, but it's okay. It's very simple, and we teach you all the rules in the course. So I don't usually mention what the indicators are, but for you people today, thanks for attending. I will tell you that one of the indicators is a 50-period moving average, and we use it differently than we use it in the other methodologies. Now, it often shows the capability to catch some big moves. I'll show you some examples. But oftentimes, you don't want to wait and say, well, just because of the buy signal, I'm going to have a huge move on this. You don't know. So we give you ways in which to exit to take some quick profits. Now, it works best in daily bars, but you can apply it to higher time frames. So we would suggest in the beginning, if you become a member of this course, only to apply it to daily bars. And then you can work out from there, okay, to higher time frames or even to lower time frames. You can apply it to any direction. So if you like to go both long and short, don't worry. If this market happens to go into a sustained slide or downward trend, don't worry. This will work just as great. And I'll show you some great setups to the downside today as well that happened in the last month. Now, with all of our members, we always instruct them to paper trade first, because even though this is a great overlooked strategy and really generates some nice setups, if you are not implementing it correctly, you most likely will lose money. So please paper trade so that you know where the proper entry is, you know where the proper exit is, you know where the proper stop placement is. And then once you feel comfortable that you know all the rules, we can move forward and start trading with small amounts of capital. All of our methods are ingrained with consistency. That means that, I know you may think that consistency means, wow, this thing wins a lot. No, consistency means that it realizes that you will have losses from time to time. That is okay. Consistency simply means that the method is able to recoup those losses. So that's what we mean by consistency. There's nothing wrong with losing in the markets. There's nothing wrong. The only thing that's wrong with losing in the markets is if you have sustained losses and a method that continues to generate more and more losses. But when you have a method that will generate a loss every now and then able to recoup it rather quickly, well, that's a great method to have. That's a two-step forward, one-step back approach, which all of our methods have. All right, so let me show you some examples, okay? These are starting out with some buy examples that happened within the last month, some within the last week or so. Here's GPC, all right? This is the beginning of August. We had 2 buy signals generated here. Remember, the buy signals are generated according to these 2 indicators, one of them which I revealed to you today, which is the 50-period moving average, their relationship to each other, okay? How close or how far apart they are and their relationship to each other. When they meet this formula, when all the requirements are met, they will either generate a buy or a sell signal. Now, 2 buy signals were generated here. And as we can see, you had a nice potential 5-point gain to capture. All right, not a fantastic move, but we're going to go out from there. And as you can see, many times more and more signals are generated. Let's look at AMD, all right? This is what we were talking about earlier. Now, where everyone else was thinking, well, Steve, this is basically resistance here. There's a lot of institutions selling this, and I'm going to wait for the bad earnings reports to come out. We don't focus on any of those things. If you want to, you're more than welcome to focus on fundamental news and earnings reports and jobless claims. That's okay. Just to let you know, I stopped looking at those things 40 years ago, and I'm still here. So if I can sustain my trading by not even focusing on those things, then there's no reason why you can't. So we don't want to overcomplicate our trading by putting too many things on our plate. So keep it simple by just listening to what the market's telling us. And with these the interaction of these 2 indicators, this actually generated a buy signal. And then after that, in the weeks to come, you had potentially 10 points that you could have captured. Now, I know a lot of you are going to say, well, Steve, where would I have gotten out? Would I have gotten out at 10-point profit, or where exactly do I get out? Do I stay in? Well, it's up to you. We give you all the variables in the course. Now, in the beginning, we want you to take the most conservative exits, which is very simple, based on one of these indicators. But after that, we teach you different variables, different ways to stay in longer. Now, you could have taken a quick 2 or 3 points off this using our conservative exit, or you actually could have still been in this trade. Okay, so it's up to you, and we teach you all these different exit points. Let's look at Costco. Once again, it looks as if this stock is kind of going slightly, slightly upwards. It has some pullbacks or whatever, but we're generating buy signals, and 20 points potentially you could have captured. Once again, you could have captured 1 or 2 points and said, thank you, I'm out. Or you could have stayed in for 20 points and stayed in for longer if you like. Now, a lot of our students say, well, Steve, I like to trade options. I like to buy calls or puts. There's nothing wrong with that. If you want, every time a buy signal was generated, you could have simply bought the call or some type of long call strategy or spread strategy. Here's another example in VRSN. Actually, had you taken this buy signal at the beginning of July, you had 20 points to work with. You could have used any of our exits and decided which one you wanted to take. All of a sudden, this stock ran into a little trouble, but another buy signal was generated on this pullback. So you could have gotten back in had you exited somewhere in this nice run. And as you can see, we got up to a certain point, another buy signal was generated, and you could have potentially captured another 10 points. So had you used these to their full max, that's 30 points you would have had to potentially been able to capture with 2 setups. How about Amazon? Okay, once again, 2 signals were generated. The first one did pretty well, but then kind of stalled. Another one was generated here. If we only stayed in this one and we wanted to go for the max, well, we teach you how to do that. Remember, this was just a month ago. This was just in the first week of August that this buy signal was generated. Guess what? You had 200 points potentially to capture. This is the beauty of this particular strategy because it focuses on these 2 indicators, how they interact with each other, and once they line up, then that is your signal to either go long or go short. Now, had you taken this first setup, coming into the first week of September, in 1 month, you had a potential gain of 200 points. It's up to you how much of that you wanted to take out. In other words, I always tell students, it's like driving up to a huge, huge lake or a huge ocean, which has just, so much water in it. You can decide to go ahead and take a spoon and just take a spoon of the water out, or you can decide to get a big jug or a big canister, or you can decide to get a big Mack truck and fill it up with water. It's up to you. It's the same thing with profits. You can decide to take a 1 or 2 point gain. It's up to you. So you're in charge of your trading. This is the only way you become a consistent trader, by making your own decisions, not by blindly following some system that automatically tells you where to buy, where to sell, where to exit. You know, that to me is a recipe for disaster, because basically you've taken yourself out of the game. We want you to be able to make your own trading decisions. Once I was taught this concept some 40 years ago, that is what has been able to sustain me. Because believe me, I asked my mentors, why can't I just copy what you're doing? And they told me the same thing I just said. You have to find your own way, because that's the only way it will sustain you going forward. Now, we just shared with you a number of buy signals this past month. Let's look at some sell signals that were generated. All right, here's one in CVX. As you can see, it looks like we're going higher and kind of having a pullback here. Some people would say, well, Steve, we have a nice uptrend. This is just a pullback. We got to buy here, right? Well, no, the two indicators lined up and generated a sell signal on the 31st of August, 5 quick points in 4 days. Now, you could have easily bought puts, or you could have shorted the stock. It's up to you, whatever you like to do. Another example in BABA, BABA, also looks like it's just pulling back, but on August 30th, a sell signal was generated, a quick 15 points in the next 4 days, okay? Now, how about EA? All right, well, now, it looks as if the stock is doing nothing, and this particular setup really didn't generate any possible gains, and if you used one of our tight stops, most likely you would have been stopped out for a small loss. This is where we say it's okay. It's perfectly admissible to have losses every once in a while. What's not admissible is to have a method that will generate sustained losses that brings you into a tremendous drawdown, or that you're not able to come back and trade again. So here we have a loss. If we had taken this setup, not much would have happened in the next 2 or 3 weeks. We most likely would have been stopped out with a loss. The beauty of this method is you've got to get back on your horse. If it generates another signal, don't worry, get back in, because oftentimes you're able to recoup that loss and more. In the next 5 days, 17 points in your favor. Now, Facebook, as we all know, Facebook fell out of bed in July, and as we can see, it looked as if it was going higher at this point because of the interaction of the two indicators, the 50-period moving average being one of them. It generated a sell signal. So you had a nice move to the downside here. You could have taken a profit if you wanted to, or once we had a second sell signal being generated, you could have said, well, I'm going to stay in this much longer, because, as you can see, from the beginning, it was 22 points in your favor coming into this first week in September. And then lastly, in Netflix, okay, where someone would look at this and say, well, Steve, we're in an uptrend here. We've got to buy this. Netflix, with the relationship between the two indicators, actually generated a sell signal. And believe me, this relationship is not difficult. There's a small formula you need to calculate. We do it for you, but it's automatically done, as well as with the platform. All you have to do is click on strategy number 8 and the sell signals appear. But we want you to know why you're going short or going long. So you learn all the information. This is not a black box. A sell signal was generated on the 8th of August, and 25 points in the next couple of weeks to the downside. Now, remember, we said that this is primarily just for stocks and to focus on daily time frames and higher time frames. So let's go up to a higher time frame. Let's look at the weekly chart of the spiders. Now, this was going back to the beginning of July. These are weekly bars. Once again, we're kind of going up and then down and then kind of sideways. Here, a buy signal was generated, and July 2nd, going into the end of August, generated 18 points in the spiders. Now, we know that not everyone's going to trade a weekly bar of the spiders. Maybe you don't want to, that's too expensive, or you don't want to hold on to that. But let's say you wanted to use this as a directional tool, all right? If a buy signal is generated on a weekly chart of the spiders, and it's telling you that the spiders are most likely going to go higher, don't you think that the market is going to follow suit? Don't you think that the S&P 500 will be going higher? So that would tell you that the market is going to rally, and most likely, if you're thinking of selling short, I would most likely pause that and look for other buy setups that are in your price range or that meet your needs. Now, this 18-point rise in the spiders was comparable to a 1,500-point gain in the Dow Jones in just 2 months. So this was an actual signal generated on a weekly chart of the spider. Now, if we look at a smaller price stock, we can look at GE. This is going back to June, about a little over a year ago, in June of 2017, a sell signal was generated. Just when people thought, well, we can't go down much lower. Well, yes, you can on a weekly time frame. It dropped 10 points coming into the first of this year, but that was a 35% drop in the stock, okay? So don't you think you could have stepped aside if you were thinking, if say your broker told you GE is a great investment, it's been coming down for too long now, it's so oversold, you've got to buy it. What if strategy 8 was generating a sell signal? Do you think you would want to step into the way of that? Most likely you'd want to take the advice of strategy number 8, wait for the dust to settle. You could have saved yourself a good 10 points or a 35% drop in the stock. Now here's one, a monthly chart in Costco, because we don't just have to focus on weekly bars. We can go up a time frame up to a monthly time frame. Each one of these bars represents a month. This is going back to September of 2017, a full year ago on a monthly time frame. The two indicators lined up perfectly. A buy signal was generated and 32 points in the next 3 months. Not a bad investment for your IRA or for your long-term portfolio account, right? 32 points just by knowing this strategy that we call the strategy that you've been searching for stock traders. All right, so let's recap before we go into the question and answer portion. Remember, this is a stock-only strategy. Even though some of our students around the world have reported back to us, they say, well, Steve, this works great on a 5-minute British pound chart, or works great on Bitcoin. We want to make it so that it's not just sensitive to one market or one time frame. We want to make our methods be able to transfer over onto any market, any time frame. So far, strategy 8 just works the best in terms of the most consistent results on daily bars in stocks and in higher time frames than that. So that's what we suggest. If you're a stock trader and you like to trade daily bars and higher, this is the strategy you've been waiting for. It only uses 2 indicators. Now, usually, the last time I presented this, I didn't even divulge what one of those indicators was, but one of them is the 50-period moving average. And even though I've mentioned that before in other methods, it is used entirely different from how it's applied in, let's say, strategy number 4 or strategy number 1. Okay? It's how its relationship is with this other indicator. And we have proprietary settings for these that you need to know how to calculate. Now, it often shows the capability to catch some big moves. I'm going to show you that in just a few seconds here with some more examples. It works best in daily bars and higher time frame. You can apply it to any direction. But remember, if you become a member, a student of mine, as with all of our courses, you must paper trade first. This is not something where you just jump in, you buy it on a Sunday, and then Monday you start trading with real capital. We don't recommend that. We want all of our students to paper trade until they fully understand the process. Our edge is consistency. I showed you a couple of losses here. That's okay. Each one of the losses I showed was recouped rather quickly, sometimes on the very next trade. So that's what we're talking about. You don't have to worry when you lose money on a trade with our methods, because oftentimes you're able to make it back. It's not promised and it's not guaranteed, but oftentimes our students have told us the consistency level is higher than anything they've traded. This is their testimonial back to us. So this is great. This is what we're trying to promote, something you can feel confident with, that if you have a loss, you don't have to worry and don't have to say, well, that's it, this doesn't work anymore, because many times our students have told us that we're able to recoup, okay? Now ask yourself, as we go into question and answers, do you think this strategy could have helped your trading this past year? We only have 3-4 months left. 3 months left, that's it. I mean, we're actually, September is just about half over, so 3 months left. We don't even have 4 months. How would you like to finish the year strong? I'm sure you started out 2018 thinking, this is going to be my best year. I'm going to do great. I'm so excited. I just spent $5,000, $10,000 on that new course, and it's something that nobody's ever talked about before. And guess what? It doesn't work, right? Most likely it doesn't. Because trust me, I've been there. My first year trading, I did the exact same things. I focused on what all the institutions were doing. I focused on support and resistance. I focused on volume. I focused on all the news reports. And none of those helped me. I was on the floor and I had all this, advanced information, but I still couldn't make a dime. I was just treading water. It wasn't until my mentors taught me the same things that I teach my students around the world that I finally became a consistent trader. So this is what we're trying to instill in all of you. We cannot guarantee anything, but we'll do our best to get you up to that consistency level. So we have a great special for all the attendees today. This is our way of saying thanks for attending. We're going to offer you Stock Trader Strategy number 8 course, okay? Once again, this, in our opinion, for stock traders is the course you've been waiting for. You're going to get instant course access, detailed video instruction. We're going to share with you all the rules so you know exactly where to enter. You know exactly all the exit variables and all the stop variables, okay? You'll get educational signal alerts in the form of an up or down arrow automatically telling you where these signals have been generated. But please remember, these are for educational purposes only. It's not our goal to simply force feed you signals and have you blindly take them. We teach you what is behind each and every buy and sell setup, okay? And you'll also get complete educational mentoring correspondence with yours truly. Anytime you have a question, you can always email me and I'll answer them as soon as possible. We strongly believe this is the stock strategy you have been searching for. But guess what? We're not going to stop there. We're going to throw in a bonus offer with our special deal today. We're going to throw in the Pet D. You've heard me talk about this before. This tool is so popular and so powerful. We have complete courses, and I give just single webinars on this particular tool. Well, we're going to throw this in as well. This is our roadmap for any market. I'm sure you've heard me talk about before. I was taught this by my mentors some 41 years ago. And what it is a directional tool that tells you the short-term direction of the market. But it can also generate confirmation setups. It can also have its own techniques for buying and selling. Let me show you what I mean here. As we look at this generic chart here, this is Aetna, we see that we went straight up and straight down. A lot of traders will buy at the top and sell at the bottom. But what if there was a tool that could give us an early warning that the trend was going to change? Well, that's the Pet D. On our platform, all you have to do is click on the Pet D tab in the upper green strategy tab, and it automatically changes the colors. Green means a short-term uptrend is in place. Red means a short-term downtrend is in place. So the beauty of the Pet D, as you see here, is that it tells you which direction you should be trading. And once you know, you can apply any strategy to that direction. So let's apply strategy 8 to that direction. One of the best ways to use the Pet D is as a confirmation tool. In other words, whatever strategy you're trading, I don't care if it's one of yours, one of mine, or something based off of the full moon, it makes no difference. But whenever you get a signal to either buy or sell, you want the Pet D to confirm that. And the way it does that is if you get a buy signal, that bar should be colored green. Just that bar, whatever bar that signal is generated, it should be colored green by the Pet D. Conversely, if you get a sell signal, that bar should be colored red by the Pet D. Now, if you get the opposite, if you get a buy signal and the bar is outlined or colored red, you don't want to take that because the Pet D is not confirming. So let's see exactly how this would have worked with trillion-dollar companies. As we all know, just this last month, there was some major news about trillion-dollar companies in the stock market. For example, on August 2nd, a little over a month ago, Apple announces it's now a trillion-dollar company, okay, the very first. And a month later, on September 4th, Amazon announces it's now a trillion-dollar company. So we have two of the major companies announcing that they're trillion-dollar issues now. This is amazing, all right? Could Strategy 8, along with a Pet D, have helped us perhaps purchase before these announcements came out? Well, let's look at the chart. All right, here is a chart of Apple when the news came out on August 2nd, okay? And as we can see, after that announcement coming up to the first week of September, we know that the stock has gone straight up. So many people heard that news and they just love the company and they continue to buy it, all right? Now, how could the Pet D as well as Strategy 8 have helped us? Well, the first thing you want to do is click on the Pet D in our upper green strategy tab here. It's as simple as clicking that on, and you would have seen that we only had 3 red bars here, but at this point, all the bars started turning green. Now, let's see if a strategy number 8 signal had been generated. See strategy number 8 here in our upper green strategy tab? You'd simply click that on, and guess what? A buy signal was generated the day before that news came out. The day before. And what color was it outlined? Green. So the Pet D was telling you a day in advance that this is a buy. So once again, this is the strategy we feel you've been searching for because you would have known a day in advance before the announcement and before this tremendous uprun. Now let's look at the other stock. Let's look at Amazon. This is where the news came out September 4th. Now obviously it had had a run coming up to that news. Let's see if those two tools that we're offering you today could have helped. We click on the Pet D and once again, all of the bars are green. We just had a couple of red bars here. Is there anywhere we could have bought in advance? You know, if we bought one day ahead, we really wouldn't have done very well. Well, we click on strategy number 8. Automatically, we see that a buy signal was generated the 2nd of August, a full month in advance of that. Wouldn't you have liked to have known that in Amazon? You could have bought some calls, maybe some long call strategy, whatever you'd like, perhaps even the stock. But wouldn't you have liked to have known that the strategy you've been searching for generated a signal in Amazon a full month before it was announced it was going to be a $1 trillion company? Then, if you missed that, don't worry. Another signal was generated just a couple of weeks prior to that. So we're offering you stock strategy number 8 along with the Pet D course. These are 2 entirely different courses. I give individual webinars and course instruction on each one. We're combining them to really elevate your odds for consistency with this. But guess what? We're not going to stop there. We're actually throwing in an extra bonus offer included with this deal. We're going to give you 6 months of the PTS Primo charting platform free. Okay, 6 months free. This is a great, great offer because we're going to make it so simple for you to generate these setups, okay? Strategy number 8 and the Pet D tool. Let me show you what I mean here. Here's what's offered with the platform. You're going to get, obviously, strategy 8 and the Pet D. You're also going to get some proprietary entry, exit, and trending tools that are separate from these courses that come included in the platform. You're also going to get our enhanced buy and sell line. That's telling you whether the overall trend is up or the overall trend is down. Remember, the Pet D is the short-term trend. When you combine the overall with the short-term, you've really got high odds for consistency. But I think the best thing about our platform is our signal scanner, okay? Along with 90 technical indicators and free Bloomberg TV, the signal scanner is something that, it could be a whole course in and of itself. Let me show you what I mean here. If you're not able to be in front of your computer 24/7, like some other traders are, you come home from work, you go to the platform, you click on strategy number 8 and click on the scan tab, and you'll see this. You'll see a list of all the stocks that you're interested in trading. And then once you hit scan with strategy 8 here, you'll see this is a list of a sell setup for tomorrow. This is one for a buy setup. Now, if you had done this, let's say a couple of weeks ago, say I had given this webinar a couple of weeks ago and you became a member and took advantage of this great offer, here's what you would have seen. You would have seen a setup, 2 setups actually, in IDTI, okay? A buy setup here and another one here. This was on the 16th and the 20th of August. Now, once you have the Pet D, you say, well, you know what? Remember, Steve says to confirm it with the Pet D. So I'll click on the Pet D and the bars automatically change. We can see that all the bars have been green. Even though we've been going sideways, the Pet D is so sensitive, it's so finely tuned to the trend, it's telling us that this trend is up. So you have confirmation on both of these signals in IDTI. So you would have jumped in and taken this either by the options or by the stock, whatever you want, and 11 points coming into this past week, coming into yesterday. So that's the beauty of having strategy number 8, the Pet D, and then the scanner to scan for nightly setups. All right. Now, this course with the Pet D, including 6 months of the platform, normally would cost you over $5,000. That's if you bought these separately or we didn't have a special offer like we do today. But don't worry, you're not going to spend anywhere near there. In fact, we're going to drop the price. We're going to discount it by 30% down to $34.95, which includes 6 months of the platform. And for a limited time, we'll also include payment plans. So if you can't come up with $34.95, don't worry. You can put down a small deposit and you can still be a part of this great offer of Strategy 8, the Pet D, as well as 6 months of the platform. This is a fantastic offer, a great way to finish the year. Remember, you don't have to come up with $34.95. You can come up with a small deposit to get a payment plan. You can still be up and running as soon as today. So here's how to take advantage of this. Contact Proprietary Strategies. I designed the platform with them. They handle all the tech support with the platform as well as all the discounting. You can email them at trading@proprietarystrategies.com. I would suggest personally calling them directly. There's actually no obligation. Call them at 310-598-6677 and you can structure a payment plan with them so that, as I said, for a small deposit that meets your needs, you can be up and running and still be using this as early as today. Now, that link you see at the very bottom is the link that will take you to the sign-up page, but it's not a live link, so you need to go to the chat box on the far right-hand corner. They've just plotted a live link there in the chat box. So all you have to do is click that on, and you will automatically go to the sign-up page. Once again, if you want to set up a payment plan, simply call that number, 310-598-6677, and they will have a payment plan structure set up for you. You can be up and running as soon as today. I'm going to leave all this information up here. I want to thank you for holding off on questions. If you happen to have questions right now, please, now's the time to write them in. Just go to the question and answer box, type them in, and I'll answer them to the best of my ability, okay? Mike is saying, this is really interesting. I wish I knew what the indicators were. Well, Mike, I'm sorry, but the only trouble is that would not be fair to people that, have taken the course and actually have spent more money than the discount we have today. So, a lot of people will say, well, Steve, we don't know what you're doing. You kind of just, are picking the best trades. But, a lot of people pick the best trades that go back, maybe 4, 5, 6 months. These are trades that happened in the last month. In fact, some of these happened in the last 2 weeks. So it's hard to cherry pick when something happened 2 weeks ago, both for a buy setup and a sell setup. So remember, even though I can't divulge all the rules, if someone was just trying to show you the best trade, I'd have to go back and search maybe a year. I've gone to webinars where I've looked at presentations and they're actually showing signals from a year ago. And that's what people do when they don't want to divulge what the rules are, because they don't want to show the bad signals that have been generated lately. But we just showed you a ton of signals that were generated in the last couple of weeks. So it can't be cherry picking when we're not showing the rules and showing winners. Plus, we showed you a couple of losses as well. But those are good questions. But I'm just sorry, it would be like coming into a restaurant and demanding a free meal. It's not fair to the people that actually paid for the meal. So, but once you become a member of this course and a student of mine, you'll get my undivided attention. You can contact me anytime you'd like. In fact, this morning, I was already answering student emails from this course and other courses that I've taken before. So I'm always there to answer any question that you may have, okay? Other people are saying, but what if I want to use my own platform? Remember, if you're using your platform, you can still use that. You can just toggle back and forth between the setups that are generated on our platform and to see where the signals are, and the scanner and the other indicators and tools that come with that. We have a host of different tools and educational tools you can't find anywhere else. And then toggle back till you look at your platform and then enter orders through that platform as well. Our platform is strictly for education, to educate you and to give you these setups so that you know what you're looking for, okay? So that's what a lot of our students do. They'll continue to use Thinkorswim or TradeStation, and then they'll toggle back and forth using our platform for information and education. Question, Mr. Primo, did the second indicator for this strategy have changed lately from the one you were using before? No, it hasn't changed lately. We may have updated some things here and there, but the actual indicator did not change, okay? Sir, what is the best time frame in strategy 3A, 5-minute or 10-minute? Well, once again, I'm saying this as respectfully as I can, but that's a question you should never ask, because the right time frame is the time frame that makes you feel comfortable. We have students that swear and say, Steve, the strategy that I'm a course member of, the best time frame, I get the best signals are on an hourly chart. Okay, that's great. And then maybe a day later, I'll get it from another student and say, no, Steve, the best signals are on a 5-minute chart. Now, how can they be the best signals for one person on one time frame and another? It's because everyone comes bringing their own trading, risk parameters, exit parameters. So the best time frame is the one that makes you feel comfortable. This is a lesson I learned some 41 years ago. Remember, I told my mentors the same thing, like, why can't I just do what you're doing? And their response was, you have to find your own way. That's the only way you become consistent. So in order for me to tell you what the best time frame would be, that would be totally taking you out of the game, taking you out of the equation, and telling you how to trade. And that goes, as we said in the very beginning, that goes against everything what we teach. We are teaching you how to trade, but we're not going to trade for you. It's up to you to find what the best time frame is. And we tell our students to research, trade a number of time frames, and then when you find one that makes you feel comfortable, that you've paper traded, and that you seem to have good results with, then that's the best time frame for you, okay? Same thing with strategy 8. A lot of our students say, Steve, it works so much better on weekly bars. If that's what you feel best for, then great, just trade weekly bars. Or others say, no, daily bars are the best. I get the most signals from daily bars. Well, then great. If you're looking for a lot more signals, trade only daily bars. There is no right or wrong answer. The only wrong answer is when you try to have someone else tell you what to trade or how to trade. That really is the wrong answer, because the entire industry is based on that. Think of it. Think of all the other webinars you've gone to. They have master systems, master indicators that tell you exactly where to buy, exactly where to sell. They tell you exactly what the perfect time frame is. They tell you exactly what the perfect market is. And basically they're saying, what they're really saying is that you don't know how to do it, so I'll tell you how to do it. And that couldn't be, further from what we do at Specialist Trading, okay? Next question. Scanner you talked about finds the setup bars correct. Entry would be on the next day. Well, once again, that's entirely up to you. That's one of our formats for entry on the next day. But if you are a more advanced trader and if you've paper traded, a lot of our students who are more advanced will like to enter that day. So once again, that's entirely up to you. We teach you a basic format that many times relies on entry the next day. But ultimately, it's your choice. We have different places for you to enter at a limit if you'd like, and this is all taught in the course as well. So remember, there is a standard basic format we teach, but going out from that, you're able to alter and fine-tune things to meet your needs. So I can't say that, yes, that is the only way to enter. Once again, that goes against our philosophy. Great questions, but now I hope you're getting the impression now of that we're here to teach you, not to tell you how to trade. It's been my experience in 41 years that telling someone exactly how to trade is a recipe for disaster. Showing someone a way to trade is the way you become a consistent trader. And that's what we do. We show you through the education we've accumulated in 4 decades and then working with you so that you can be in charge of your own trading decisions, okay? So as we conclude, these are great questions. As we conclude, remember, once again, this is a stock strategy only, all right? It is probably our most overlooked strategy, but I, time and time again, see some fantastic signals with this, all right? Just in the last couple of weeks, you've seen some amazing setups that I talked about today. There are others being generated all the time. So if you have more questions about the platform, about a payment plan, please do not hesitate to call Pro Trader Strategies at the number right there, 310-598-6677. They would be happy to give you more information, no obligation at all required, just to get some more information on the setup and exactly on the payment plan, okay? Then you can decide from there, but don't sit on this because next week I'll be talking about something entirely different with an entirely different discount. And if you're really interested in this, now is the time to take advantage of this great 30% discount, okay? Okay, as we conclude here, I just want to say thank you so much for attending. I strongly feel that this strategy would really help your trading and really help you finish the year out strongly. So give them a call, and thank you so much for attending. As you take one last look at our disclaimer, I want to thank you again, and I look forward to all of you becoming students of mine at Specialist Trading in the Strategy number 8 course, along with the PET D and the PTS Primo Charting platform. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.